2 Kings 23:31 through 25:30. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hamuchel, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. Now Pharaoh Necho put him in prison at Riblah in the land of Hamath, that he might not reign in Jerusalem. And he imposed on the land a tribute of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And then Pharaoh Necho made Eglon, the son of Josiah, king in place of his father Josiah, and changed his name to died there. So Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give money according to the command of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and gold from every one according to his assessment, to give it to Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 11 years in Judah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Ramah. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his fathers had done. In his day Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his vassal for 3 years. And then he turned bands of Chaldeans, bands of Syrians, bands of Moabites, and bands of the people of Ammon. He sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which prophets. Surely at the commandment of the Lord this came upon Judah, to remove them from his sight because of the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he had done, he had shed, for he had filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim, and all that he did, are they of the kings of Judah. So Jehoiakim rested with his fathers, and then Jehoiachin his son reigned in his place. And the king of Egypt, for the king of Babylon, had taken all that belonged to the king of Egypt, from the brook of Egypt to the river Euphrates. Jehoiachin was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city. And then Jehoiachin, king of Judah, his mother, his servants, his princes, and his officers went out to the king of Babylon, and took him prisoner. And he carried him out from there all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house. And he cut in pieces all the articles of gold which Solomon king of Israel had made in the temple of the Lord, and as the Lord, all of the captains and all of the mighty men of valor, 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained except the poorest people of the land. And he carried Jehoiachin captive to Babylon. The king's mother, the mighty of the land, he carried into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon. All the valiant men, 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths, 1,000. Or these the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon. Then the king of Babylon made Mattenai Jeroham, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hamadah of Libnah. He also did evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For because of the anger of the Lord, this happened in Jerusalem out from his presence. And then Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. Now it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, on the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army came against Jerusalem and encamped against it. And they built a siege wall against it all around. On the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine had become so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. And then the city wall was broken through, and all the men of war fled by night, by way of the gate between 2 walls, which was by the king's garden, even though the Chaldeans were still encamped all around against the city. And the king went by the way of the plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued the king, and they overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his army was scattered from him. So they took the king, and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah, and they put out the eyes of Zedekiah, bound him with bronze fetters and took him to Babylon. And in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which was the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, the servant of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He burned the house of the Lord and the king's house. All the houses of Jerusalem, that is, all the houses of great, he burned with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the captain of the guard broke down the walls of Jerusalem all around. Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away who had deserted to the king of Babylon with the rest of the multitude. But the captain of the guard left some of the poor of the land as vine dressers and farmers. The bronze pillars that were in the house of the bronze sea that were in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans broke into pieces and carried their bronze to Babylon. They also took away the pots, the shovels, the trimmers with which the priests ministered, the fire pans and the basins, the things of solid gold and solid silver the captain of the guard took away. The 2 pillars, 1 sea, and the carts which Solomon had made for the house of the Lord, the bronze of these articles was beyond measure. The height of 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and the capital of it on it was of bronze. The height of the capital was 3 cubits, and the network and the pomegranates all around the capital were all of bronze. Sarai, the chief priest, Zephaniah, the second priest, and the 3 doorkeepers. He also took out of the city an officer who had charge of the men of war, 5 associates who were found in the city, the chief recruiting officer of the army who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of. So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took these and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. Then the king of Babylon struck them and put them to death at Ramoth. Thus Judah was carried away captive from its own land. And then he made Gildaliah, the son of Zephan, governor over the people who remained in the land of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had left. Now when all the captains of the armies of Babylon had made Gedaliah governor, they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Ishmael, the son of Nethiah, Johanna, the son of Karai, the son of Timoth, the Nephalite, and Zenaeth, the son of the Malachite. They took an oath before them and their men and said to them, "Do not be afraid of the servants of the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you." That Ishmael, the son of Nethiah, the son of Elishma, the royal family, came with 10 men and struck and killed Gedaliah, the Chaldeans who were with him at Mizpah. And all the people, small and great, and the captains of the army arose and went to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. 37th year of the captivity of Jehoiachin, king of Judah, in the 12th month, and on the 27th day of the month, that the evil in the year that he began to reign, released Jehoiachin, king of Judah, from prison. He spoke kindly to him, and he gave him a more prominent seat than those. So Jehoiachin changed from his prison garments, and he ate bread regularly before the king all the days of his life. And as for his provisions, there was a regular ration given him by the king, a portion for each day, all the days of his life. Acts 22:17 through 23:10. Now it happened when I returned to Jerusalem, and when I was praying in the temple, that I was in a trance, and saw him saying to me, "For they will not receive your testimony concerning me." So I said, "Lord, they know that in every synagogue I'm in prison and beat those who believe on you." He said, "I also was standing by, consenting to his death and guarding the clothes of those who were killing him." Then he said to me, "Depart, for I will send you far." Listen to him until this word, and then they raised their voices and said, "Away with such a fellow from the earth, for he is not fit to live." Then, as they carried out and tore off their clothes and threw dust into the air, the commander ordered him to be brought scourging, so that he might know why they shouted so against him. And as they bound him with thongs, Paul said to the centurion who stood by, "Is it lawful for you to scourge a man, Roman and uncondemned?" When the centurion heard that, he went and told the commander, saying, "Take care what you do, for this man is a Roman." Then the commander came and said to him, "Tell me, are you a Roman?" He said, "Yes." The commander answered with a large head, "But I was born a citizen." Then immediately those who were about to examine him withdrew from him. And the commander was also afraid after he found out that he was Roman, and because he had him bound. The next day, because he wanted to know for certain why he was a chief priest and all their council to appear, and brought Paul down and set him before them. Then Paul looked earnestly at the council and said, "Men and brethren, before God until this day." And the high priest Ananias commanded those who stood by him to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him, "God will strike you. You sit to judge me according to the law, and do you command me to be struck contrary to the law? And those who stood by said, "Do you revile God?" Said, "I did not know, brethren, that he was the high priest, for it is written, 'You shall not speak evil of a ruler of your people.'" But when Paul perceived these, he cried out in the council, "Men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Concerning the hope and resurrection of the dead I am being judged." And when he had said this, a dissension arose between the Pharisees, and the assembly was divided. For Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, and no angel or spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. Then their Pharisees' party arose and protested, saying, "We find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him, let us not fight against God." Now when there arose a great dissension, the commander, fearing lest Paul might be pulled to pieces by them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him by force from among them. Proverbs 18:13. He who answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame to him.